We are back with a midweek update, and we are tightening our core off what we said yesterday about leverage and correlation. Yesterday, we anchored on Justin Fields with a Jets mini stack. Today, we are pivoting to an Eagles-Lions-Cowboys spine because ownership, matchup grades, and the latest reporting point to concentrated ceilings at reasonable salaries. We are moving the quarterback core from Fields to Jalen Hurts at 6,800 against the Rams, dash rank 100, who have a tough defense overall with an opponent rank of 2. This is a classic leverage buy low. He is sitting around 2.5% owned, and he still averages 18 fantasy points per game, despite a down week where he put up 8. The why is twofold. First, rushing equity travels even in tough overall matchups, and Hurts is a dual threat for touchdowns. Second, the news cycle has created a sentiment gap. One piece this week literally put Hurts on a list of early season red flag quarterbacks and hit the panic button, while another recapped the Super Bowl rematch that the Eagles won 20-17 on dominant rushing from Hurts and Saquon Barkley, combining for 189 yards. We side with the rushing volume and touchdown equity at depressed ownership, even against a tough defense overall, especially when price is sub 7,000. At running back, we are rotating from Breece Hall to Jahmyr Gibbs at 7,400 against the Ravens, dash rank 100, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. He is about 6% owned, averaging 17 fantasy points per game, with 15 last outing, and the pass game role is the kicker. A national piece this week asked if Gibbs could have a huge receiving game, and another ranked him among the most impactful, versatile workhorses in the league. When Detroit ran it up in historic fashion recently, it reinforced the scoring environment and usage ceiling. We prefer that touch count plus receiving floor in a favorable overall matchup, and it aligns with our tight end choice. At wide receiver, we are moving off Garrett Wilson to CeeDee Lamb at 7,800 against the Bears, dash rank 100, who have the absolute worst defense overall with an opponent rank of 32. He is around 11% owned, averaging 22 fantasy points per game, with 11 last game. The why is matchup-driven alpha volume. The opener brought some noise about drops, but the broader coverage has the Cowboys' offense firmly in national focus, and Lamb is still the first read with downfield and red zone leverage. We will take the absolute worst defense overall and live with moderate ownership. Tight end is a pivot from Trey McBride to Sam Laporta at 4,800 against the Ravens, dash rank 100, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. He is around 8% owned, averaging 10 fantasy points per game, and just posted 14. The why is role plus correlation. Recent write-ups group Laporta with George Kittle as premier touchdown producers at tight end, and stacking him alongside Gibbs leverages Detroit red zone consolidation in a favorable overall matchup at a friendlier salary than the elite tier. For the flex, we are moving from Jackson Smith-Njigba to Bucky Irving at 7,200 against the Jets, dash rank 100, who have one of the worst defenses overall, with an opponent rank of 27. He is about 10% owned, averaging 16 fantasy points per game with 15 last game. The why is simple. News reminded everyone he exploded onto the scene last year, and Tampa has leaned into his space game. With this opponent rank over 19, we get a favorable overall matchup for touches and explosive plays, and the salary fits our build without sacrificing ceiling. Defense shifts from the Packers to the Steelers at 3,100 against New England, dash rank 100, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 25. They scored 2 last game and come in under 10% owned. The why is price-adjusted pressure and short field paths in a middling game environment. We will take the modest ownership and play for sacks and turnovers, quick value corner, and how it complements the core. At quarterback, Anthony Richardson at 4,700 against the Titans is a large field dart only. Tennessee have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 24, and he is basically unowned. The news cycle has called out a rocky start and questions about him establishing as a franchise quarterback, which is exactly why the field will be off him. You are paying for athletic ceiling and uncertainty at a discount. At running back, Hunter Lupke at 4,000 against the Bears is a thin punt tied to game script. Chicago have the absolute worst defense overall with an opponent rank of 32. He is essentially unowned, and any scheme touches near the goal line would smash the tag in Cowboys' onslaught builds. Use only in large fields. At wide receiver, Kevontae Turpin at 3,600 against the Bears is a viable tournament punt. Chicago have the absolute worst defense overall with an opponent rank of 32. He is about 1.5% owned, averaging 10 fantasy points per game, and the news this month highlighted both his new contract and a 60-yard punt return touchdown in Week 1. Dallas is integrating him as a gadget, which gives you spike play paths and stacks. At tight end, A.J. Barner at 2,800 against the Saints is a salary relief pivot. New Orleans have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 23. He is a low 2% owned dart who keeps your lineup construction flexible if you need to jam in a premium stack elsewhere. For a stone minimum flex, Nico Remigio at 3,000 against the Giants is an extreme MME punt only. New York have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. He will be essentially unowned, and you are betting on gadget snaps and late-game volume in a favorable overall matchup. If you need to punt defense, the Panthers at 2,300 against Atlanta are the cap relief option. The Falcons have a tough defense overall with an opponent rank of 9, so this is purely a salary play with modest projection, similar to what we said yesterday. Recap of changes and why. We moved from Fields back to Hurts for ownership leverage on dual-threat touchdown equity, despite a tough defense overall, leaning into a buy low created by early-season panic pieces while acknowledging the rushing ceiling the Eagles just showcased per the Super Bowl rematch coverage. We pivoted from Breece Hall to Jahmyr Gibbs to prioritize a favorable overall matchup plus elite receiving utility, supported by this week's analysis, spotlighting a potential big receiving game. We swapped Garrett Wilson for CeeDee Lamb to attack the absolute worst defense overall with an alpha wide receiver. We rotated Trey McBride to Sam Laporta to stack Detroit red zone volume in the same favorable overall matchup. We moved JSN to Bucky Irving for touch consolidation against one of the worst defenses overall, and we shifted defense to the Steelers for price-adjusted pressure paths. That is our midweek stance built on matchup grades, shifting ownership, and corroborating news.